Good morning. Good morning. It is Friday, April 10th, 2026. I'm Manila Chan. That's Ted Rall. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI Show for short, because we bring you way too much information, along with producer Robbie, of course, who says we have an ad to get to pretty much right off the top. But we do this live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So please be sure to hit that like button, the subscribe, the share, all that to help our little show continue to grow. I'll get to the ad, Robbie. Go ahead and throw that up there, and then we'll do some housekeeping before we jump into the stories. And as one of the viewers says, Manchild says he's looking forward to learning about things that don't involve the world burning down, Ted. So, see, that's because we talk about stuff not only, war and all, because we know all the streamers talk about that. But I think really that's our niche, Ted. Like all this
100%.
Weird stuff.
Yeah. We need more weird stuff. I seriously, we have to talk about that.
Health,
I was talking to
killers.
Robbie about that. We need to be more health, killers, animals, environmental stuff.
Yes.
And we're good at it, right? So
for sure.
That's where we need to focus.
I think that's our niche. And how we stay up to do all of this, Ted.
By the way, we're gonna, and I don't know if we mentioned this because I don't think you knew it, but I think it's awesome that we're gonna live stream the birth here on the TMI Show.
Oh, I wasn't aware.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, Robbie and I forgot to tell you. Clovis was supposed to tell you, but he doesn't have opposable thumb, so he wasn't able to reach out.
He didn't text me.
No,
damn that cat.
I think he was just, he's so busy. He's into everything. He's manipulating. He's doing a lot of poly market bullshit these days. So.
Maybe Alshi. All right, let's get to this ad. So still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the vitality mushroom coffee for that clean energy with laser focus, no crash, all single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you'll also get a gold spoon clip because freedom ain't scooped with plastic, and a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. Plus, you'll get a black 1775 tumbler, $170 worth of coffee and gear, all yours for just $99. This is for all of you who have been watching 1775 blow up here on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. Grab your starter kit before they're all gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. And now, Ted, a couple of things. I said housekeeping we have to get to. We have an IOU to a viewer yesterday who donated. Now, I'm not sure if it's Arian Gordy or Arian Gordy. Thank you for the donation yesterday.
I think it's Arian.
I think so too. But we didn't get a chance to get to it yesterday. We were talking about climate change and how the poor emperor penguins are now officially on the endangered species list. Mm-hmm. Like, who would have thought? And Gordy says, all this, yet the public wants drill, baby, drill. Absolutely. This is Ted's word. Retarded. So sad to see all the wildlife and lives that have been negatively impacted by global warming.
No doubt.
Yeah, that was a sad story to end with. We start with murderers.
It's horrific. I mean, they're going to be, they're toast.
You really think so?
100%. Yeah. I mean, look,
they're going to go extinct? Like that's
I think they're all going to fucking die. Yeah. They live, they need that ice shelf, and the ice shelves are falling in. I mean, and then they fall into the ocean and they fucking drown like a stone because they're not waterproof yet.
Oh, Robbie has a question. Probably a comment.
No, just a question, because I'm generally curious about this whole global warming stuff. We know that during the late antiquity period, the Earth was warmer. And then we know that it cooled down. That's one of the things that triggered the Viking raids and what they did. So
all true.
So how can you say that climate change is caused by humans when we have history that shows through trees and everything else? It seems to work in cycles.
both things are true is the answer to your question. Yes, the Earth has cooled and warmed. I mean, there was the Ice Age, there was the post-Ice Age, there was the medieval warming period that you've pointed out. So all those things are true. So it is possible to isolate the effect of greenhouse gases from the normal cooling, or I should say from the non-human caused climate change. Also, right, there's been cooling caused by, for example, the Krakatoa volcano, right, in the late 1800s in Indonesia. So there's all sorts of other things that go on and affect the climate. But I think a good analogy to this would be, let's say the United States is wasting money, right? We waste money on wars. We waste money on, we don't tax the rich, whatever. We spend a lot of money. But so where does the $39 trillion deficit come from? From a myriad of sources. But we can say, for example, that the Defense Department is responsible for this amount of that increase. Now, if you got rid of that, it still would be going up, but it's like it wouldn't be going up as fast. So with climate change over the last 300 years since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain, we're able to isolate which part of it is caused by greenhouse gases. I mean, so right. There would be, for example, even if there was normally a cooling period, and then human caused global warming would be kind of erasing. It would be mitigated a little bit by that cooling, but the point is that's how you know.
That doesn't make any sense, because if you're going off of a cliff at 85 versus 90, either way you're going off the cliff. I mean, the Sahara Desert used to be.
It makes a difference if you hit a tree at 85 versus 90.
No, I'm talking about going over a cliff. I'm not talking about hitting a tree. I mean, that's
a different. But this is not going over a cliff. This is about like more like running into a tree.
Yeah, well, whatever. But the point is, either way, you're still toast. And I guess you can't blame.
Not really. I mean, you're less toast. You're less toast.
No, there are people that survive tree crashes. It depends on the speed you're going.
Yeah, sure. But the thing is, if you're going 90 versus 85 from someone who lives where there's lots of trees, odds are it's just going to matter just if you have a closed casket or not.
Climate change. But in climate change, Robbie, like if you're if you go over you can have climate change that doesn't tip the entire. There's a
tipping point.
It has effects, and we've seen those effects 100 years ago, right? Where species have died, the average temperatures have increased, the reefs have died, but the whole planet, a lot of things are still here. It's not game over, but basically, there is a certain point at which you would go into a doom loop and things would spiral out of control. It's kind of like a company dying where it's just no longer able, like print media is in a doom loop, right? It's like, because, basically they're losing money. So to save money, they fire journalists and they make the product smaller and worse. So more people cancel it, which means they lose more money, so that's a doom loop, right? So you're in a doom loop over 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, roughly above average temperature 250 years ago. That's what it is. But we were not in a doom loop at 2 degrees over or whatever.
But how do we know we're in a doom loop now? There is a tipping point.
Okay, we can't keep staying on this story. We got to move on.
We have models.
Robbie is not into climate change. Robbie is not into climate change. I'm banishing him to producer land.
No, hold on. Gotta go. Because you said something that's not true. I believe that climate change is a thing. I just don't think that humans, we don't have the power.
You think humans contribute to it?
No, we don't have the power to affect the world's climate in a meaningful way. We can impact our environment, like we can poison the air, we can poison the water.
Yeah.
But we don't have the power to destroy the entire planet.
But you don't think that impacts that exact thing that you're saying, the poisoning of the environment,
but what about the greenhouse gases?
Expediency in which we're.
Have you seen the volume of? You've driven past a factory that's belching out smoke, and don't bear in mind, you see a lot less of it than you used to, right?
Yeah.
But when I was a kid in the 70s, 80s, you would see these, like, you drive everywhere and there's like smoke is just coming out all over the fucking place. I mean,
the air in Los Angeles in the 80s was thick orange.
Oh my God, China,
orange.
Like cities like Shanghai, Beijing, where your eyes burn because you can't fucking see the sky.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
why the people wear the
sun
mask.
is blotted out. So like you can, never mind. You can see the effect. I mean, you've changed all of the air across an entire province just by belching shit.
That's a local environmental thing. That's the point that I'm trying to make, and I'll go away because I know that we have
multiply that by cities and factories all over the fucking world.
So let me ask you a question. What created more pollution? 100 years of Shanghai or Krakatoa going off? Which of the two was more devastating? The answer is the volcano.
Krakatoa. Okay, so Krakatoa was a huge effect.
Nothing to do with us.
But Krakatoa is not our fault.
The question is what we're doing as humans to try to chase being number 2 behind Krakatoa.
And look, if you had Krakatoa, like if you had a Krakatoa event times 3 or 4, you might have gone into tipping point. Like, for example, the extinction events that killed the dinosaurs, the meteor that struck the Yucatan Peninsula, or the one that struck in Quebec that I've talked about here on the show that created that round lake. That created, it's the same thing. It pumped a shit ton of dust into the upper atmosphere, and then it did create a tipping point within like literally a matter of months, and pretty much everything died.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we have to be stewards of the earth.
Ours is slower.
It
took us 300 years to get to this point, whereas Krakatoa is like a matter of like a week or two.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Shout out to maybe Bluth Funke, because I know that's from Arrested Development, for becoming a monthly subscriber. Yay!
Thank you.
And Manchild's donation. He wants an update on the cornhole killer. Cornhole killer. The latest update is he pled not guilty, and it was self-defense.
Cornhole killer cannot be guilty by definition. If you're a professional quadriplegic cornholer, you are
not quadriplegic, amputee.
You're kind of a saint, and you should be like canonized. There should be statues of you all over the place.
He's allowed to do anything he wants.
Yeah, anything.
The fact that he can live an independent
Clovis,
life.
anything he wants.
Can't eat Clovis.
He can eat your baby.
Okay,
whatever.
He can't eat Clovis. Yeah, your baby he can have. He can have a baby. We have lots of babies. There's only one Clovis.
No, I'll go.
No. That's okay. So we'll have. That's what you two should debate on your weekly Ted and Robbie fights.
Climate change.
I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, what do we want to talk about? We could talk about cats. We could talk about what happened to your cat. We could talk about.
Oh God.
Yeah, we can talk about trannies.
All right.
We could talk about trannies.
No, because we talk about that on this show too.
That's true.
You should talk about because Robbie obviously has some interest in climate change versus just natural, perhaps cyclical.
Yeah, we could totally
weather
have a
patterns.
Yeah, we had a good.
We had
a faith off the other day. So an evolution off.
Evolution is fake.
If according to Robbie's beliefs that the Earth is only how many thousands of years
6,000 and change, right?
Yeah, around 6,000. Yeah,
so
it was created with apparent age. Like for example, when God created Adam,
you can't debate. You can't say, this happens all through Earth's history, because if in your view Earth is only 6,000 years old.
But we know that antiquity was a thing. We know that the Middle Ages were a thing. I deny that the Earth is billions of years old. It's just it's not true.
I do have to. Well, now that you mention this, we do know, for example, that the oldest parts of the of Angkor Wat in Cambodia are over 6,000 years old. We also know that the oldest part of it's a thing, ancient Egypt, is more than 6,000 years old, right? So how does that all jibe?
I don't understand your question.
Comment.
Well, if the Earth is only 6,000 years old, but the Great Pyramid at Cheops is 8,000 years old, then
But we all know it is.
Was it floating around in space, or what happened there?
It was waiting to.
I mean, honest question.
Foundation.
Now, how were the pyramids even built? I mean, no one can answer that question.
No,
aliens.
We can totally answer that question.
No, we can't.
Aliens.
Yeah,
all right.
Like winches and scaffolding and
squashing this.
And slaves.
Aliens. Robbie's going back to producer land. Man-child. So there's your answer. He's awaiting trial, dude. You know, cornhole guy, cornhole killer. And the Gilgo Beach dude. Who knows how many other people? Sir Bikes a Lot. Thank you for the donation. Sir Bikes a Lot says Robbie is the reason I never mentioned climate change when advocating for bike lanes and transit. I simply point out the fact that when there's shortages at the gas pump, you're stuck in your house. So,
well, no, that's true. I mean, look, I think it's smart to like when you're advocating for something that like is controversial but shouldn't be, like climate change. You know, it's like just go with the least divisive argument. You know,
so we
of course
appreciate that, and of course, just worth honorable mentions.
I want
Vladimir
all bike
Putin.
Lanes to be separated by barriers. I just want to say that with like concrete walls.
They could do. They do that in downtown LA. They
do that in France too.
What do they call it? The Jersey barriers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you're like mixed in with the traffic, how are you safe, right? I mean, you're not.
Yeah, they do that. So real quick, honorable mentions of the stories. Vladimir Putin declares temporary ceasefire for Orthodox Easter. You know those Orthodox with their weird non-Gregorian calendar? So their Easter is coming up this weekend. Putin says, hey, let's have a ceasefire. And Zelensky, Ted, he agreed. We'll see if it sticks because, you know, we're supposedly having a ceasefire right now with Iran, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's not
on
much
that
of a
note,
ceasefire.
I know. On that note, J.D. Vance is going to head the U.S. delegation for peace talks with Iran in Islamabad, Pakistan this weekend. That'll be interesting to watch because Vance has been, if it happens, and Vance has been kind of quiet about this whole thing because, you know, they say he's not really into this whole war thing. And then Greece is following suit with Australia to ban social media for kids under age 15 starting in the new year in January.
I wish they would ban it for kids over 50.
I
want to be prohibited from using it. It's just not good for you.
Self-prohibition, Ted. Self-control. All right, let's hop to the stories. Okay, this is for all those other journalists out there. A federal judge has rejected the defense secretary, or as he likes to refer to himself, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth's. So lame, such a bro, like douchey bro.
It's so gay.
Pete Hegseth.
Well, although what's funny is it is funny, and no one's talked about this, right? So it was originally called the War Department.
Yes.
And a lot of people on the left, and I agreed with this, argued that it should be called the War Department again because defense makes it sound like something it isn't. I mean, the United States doesn't really use its military to defend itself. No one ever attacks us.
More accurate.
The last time we were attacked, kind of, was Pearl Harbor, right, by a nation state. Yeah. And so I say kind of because Hawaii wasn't a state at the time, right? It was a colony. So I mean, if you really have to go back to like the War of 1812 to say like, okay, this is when we were really actually attacked. So I think I kind of agree with it. So it's like so many things about Trump. This was like, he's right to call it that, but it's as usual done in a douchey way. So of course,
but it's obviously douchey because he wants to be like the Secretary of War in Epic Fury.
Epic Fury.
It just sounds like such a bad like B movie. But all right, that's the world we're living in.
Or a video game.
That too. So a federal judge smacked the SecDef regarding their new media policy. If you guys recall, a couple of months ago, they're basically they sloughed off everybody and they said if you want to have access to the Pentagon, you need to sign this oath to basically say you're not going to pursue forbidden stories, things that aren't basically you can only publish our press releases or what we say at a press conference, and you can't pursue, any kind of Pentagon paper style story, right?
Right.
That's basically what that is. So the judge says that smacks of autocracy, not democracy. The curtailment of First Amendment rights is dangerous at any time, and even more so in a time of war, says U.S. District Judge Paul Friedman, writing yesterday. He says the Constitution demands better. The American public demands better too. Friedman's ruling is the second time that he's thrown out Hegseth's bid to sharply curtail reporters' access to the Pentagon. The judge tossed an earlier version of that press restriction that threatened to strip their credentials from journalists unless they agreed to publish only information pre-approved by DOD. After Friedman ruled that policy was unconstitutional last month, Hegseth issued a new one that re-implemented sharp restrictions on reporters' ability to pursue information. So he was like, oh, he said no to this one. Let's just do another one. And like change like one word. It's like the jock, trying to pass like his book report, right? Like he copied somebody else's and changed like one word. He was like, no, it's not. That's what this guy did. And the judge was like, dude, it's the same thing. Friedman.
That's by the way what the LA Times did in court, where they literally changed like a couple of words and resubmitted the same fucking brief in their appeal. Apparently that's not that uncommon.
Oh,
lazy.
God, how
lazy fucking lawyers,
lazy. So Judge Friedman, a Clinton appointee, voided the key parts of that revised policy, concluding that it was simply a repackaging of the old one. Quote, the department cannot simply reinstate an unlawful policy under the guise of taking new action and expect the court to look the other way. Basically, he's like, do you think I fell off the turnip truck yesterday?
Yeah, I'm not a fucking tard. Forget it.
He's like, I actually read all of these. That's basically what the judge is saying. So the Pentagon spokesman says the administration disagrees with the judge's ruling and plans to appeal. Quote, the department
by changing a few more words.
The department has at all times complied with the court's order, says Sean Parnell. The department remains committed to press access at the Pentagon while fulfilling its statutory obligation to ensure the safe and secure operation of the Pentagon reservation. So what they're saying is basically that anyone that publishes anything that's not pre-approved by DOD is the DOD's position is that would be a threat to national security.
Mm-hmm.
That was their position, which is bullshit because that then removes the press, whoever the reporter is, their First Amendment right to speech.
True.
So, go Judge Friedman.
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm a little torn about this. Ultimately, look, I have to come down on the side of the reporters, obviously, but I'm a little torn about it because I kind of think I'm not a big fan of access journalism. I don't really think that there's a lot of news generally to be learned by hanging up and sucking up to officials. But on the other hand, we know that, like from Seymour Hersh, sometimes it works. And like he befriended some guys. That's how he broke the My Lai massacre, right? He befriended some guys at the Pentagon who were like just come back and they were like, oh, so everyone's talking about this shit that happened, blah, 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 blah. Really? Tell me. So it can happen. So for that reason alone, I have to be on team media here. But, generally I'm like, to me, a press conference is where news goes to die. But,
yes, of course. So that's not news if you're just regurgitating the press conference highlights. That's PR.
Yeah. That's quite right.
All right, let's move on. This is Ted's turn.
Oh, my apologies. Here's something scientists are just beginning to understand. Some people might be naturally resistant to the flu. and it might come down to a single protein. Researchers who were studying a small group of healthcare workers, people who are constantly exposed to sick patients. Manila, I always found that fascinating, right? Like you people who are nurses and doctors, they work in hospitals or other medical facilities, doctors' offices. And like, how are they not sick 365 days a year, right? Anyway, these individuals had never reported any flu symptoms despite repeatedly being exposed and in some cases never getting the vaccine for the flu. So what's up? The answer might be the protein dermicidin. So this protein is already known to exist in human sweat, where it fights off bacteria and fungi. But scientists now believe it may also be an antiviral defense, especially in your nose and your mouth, where the flu and other respiratory viruses enter your body. In these flu-resistant people, researchers found elevated levels of dermicidin in saliva and nasal passages, suggesting that it might stop the virus before it ever gets a chance to infect your cells. Of course, there are implications. Early findings suggest that dermicidin might also help block multiple flu strains, as well as so the people who are like, vaccinated against one strain, but not the other, as well as other viruses like measles and common cold, including strains that are already resistant to existing antivirals. Scientists say they don't really know why some people have higher levels of the protein, but in the future, anyway, it could be used in preventative treatments like nasal sprays or eye drops designed to create a first line of defense against infection. And so this is very, very cool. That would be very useful.
Yeah, like I guess you could, somewhere out there, Big Pharma just heard this report and somebody's like, time to create a dermicidin nasal spray like right now, or nasal rinse or something. I know Robbie's a big proponent of that, of like nasal rinses. And it seems to work well for him. I mean, he and his family, they live out in the wilds out there, and they don't get sick very often, whereas us city folk tend to not fare so well. Me in particular, I have my own health issues, but getting sick was a thing it just didn't happen for me. Like I've probably had the flu once or maybe twice in my life, so I wonder if I'm one of these people with like high dermicidin. Like I just don't tend to get sick. I feel like my immunity to anything has kind of weakened after I had a kid, and I wonder if it'll get worse after the second kid. But I was one of those people that just never got sick. I might get a little sniffle and then the next day it'd be gone. I feel like a little scratchy in my throat. Next day it's gone without having to do anything. So I wonder if this is what that is. I wonder if you can test for like, can I go to Quest Diagnostics and test for this? Can I give you a nasal swab? Like, how do you find out if you're high or low in dermicidin?
I would imagine, well, if it's in your saliva, right, you should be able to get tested for it.
A cheek swab and just...
Yeah, or just spit into a cup or whatever.
That's very interesting. So I wonder if, on top of that, Ted, the people that become doctors and nurses, I wonder if the people that are already high in dermicidin naturally, if they veer towards those industries.
Oh, well, that's the question, right? Like, does your dermicidin level increase from the repeated exposure to pathogens, right? Or do people, like a lot of people go into healthcare and they're like, fuck this, I get sick all the fucking time. I'm like out. I'm going to go work and do something else, and I'm going to work in
or
a
is
cubicle.
This like a chicken or the egg thing, right? The people that are interested in going into that field, like maybe they naturally have that high dermicidin.
That's ridiculous. Possible. Like, come on, be serious.
Possible. You never know. Like they just discovered it now. Like they just now discovered it. It's possible that it might, impact, stuff in your brain, or like, who knows? Like they're just now discovering this.
Maybe.
So
yeah,
I'm just putting it out there. Like I said, like we think we know so much about the human body. We think we know so much about Earth or life or how anything works. And then you find out news like this, like there's a, what is it? A protein? Is
Yeah, it's
that
a protein.
what it is? A protein. There's a protein in your body for some people that helps them skirt the flu.
Yeah, well, clearly, like biological determinism is a real thing, right? I mean, there's biology determines a lot about your personality and your ability.
Yeah.
So for sure, yeah, no question.
So just an interesting little science story. All right,
Totally.
Let's go on. Another science story with
I
cancer.
love this one. This one's great.
So a new large-scale study is drawing attention to something researchers say may play a bigger role in health than many people realize. Marriage appears to be associated with a lower risk of developing cancer. I know people are like, what? Yeah. So researchers at the University of Miami's Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center analyzed more than 4 million cancer cases across.
I think it's nice that Sylvester Stallone created a cancer center.
4 million cancer cases from across 12 states, representing a population of over 100 million adults between the years 2015 and 2022. So this is pretty recent. Their findings showed that people that had never been married, were diagnosed with several types of cancer at notably higher rates than those who were currently or had previously been married. So you count, Ted. So anyone that's at least been married one time, at least, including people who are divorced or widowed. The differences
I have questions about this. Like, what about people who are in polygamous cults, Mormon polygamous cults? How does that work? How about Muslims who have multiple wives? Or what about people who are in polyamorous relationships and have like triads?
They count in the married cohort, and here's
why. Or live
why.
in a throuple.
They count in this cohort. Here's why. According to the study, the never married men, so like up until George Clooney finally got married, if you were like the Bachelor forever, those guys, this is specific to men, had about a 70% higher overall cancer incidence rate, while never married women, see, I don't know why you guys get to be George Clooney and we're called spinsters, but
it doesn't call you spinsters.
People call, yes, I didn't get married till I was 36, and by the time I hit my mid-30s, people are like, you're going to be a spinster. Like, all right. So never married women had about an 85% higher incidence rate compared with those who had at least been married one time. So, I mean, we're talking those are significant numbers. 70 and 85%, 70 for men, 85% higher incidence rate of cancer in the never married cohorts. So some of the most striking differences showed up in specific cancers. Among men, those who had never married had substantially higher rates of anal cancer.
Your favorite cancer, the best cancer.
Anal cancer, guys. You don't get married, you're going to get anal cancer. Among women, those who had never married had significantly higher rates of cervical cancer. Isn't that interesting? The researchers say that does not mean marriage itself prevents cancer. Instead, it reflects a combination of related factors, including social support, healthcare access, earlier screening, financial stability, lifestyle habits, and having somebody there, more likely to notice when something seems wrong. It's like, honey, you have like this thing growing from the back of your neck. Like there's a lesion. It looks like it has teeth. Like that's basically what it's saying is you men need a wife to tell you that you have something gross forming on your back.
Well, don't get me fucking started. I think you're remembering what happened to me, maybe. So yes, when I was married, and I had And one time I'm riding the subway. The subway in New York City has, there's two different kinds of cars where you sit down. Some have these rounded seats and others have these old fashioned hard metal bench seats with just a straight back. I was on sitting on one of the latter and I noticed like in the middle of my back, I felt this lump. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I like reach around and I like realize I have like a lump the size of like a golf ball, like half in, half out, sticking out of the middle of my spine in the middle. So
this is the lipoma.
Yeah, the lipoma. So I go home and I tell the ex.
No, the wife then.
The wife at the time. I'm like, did you? And she's like, oh yeah, I saw that. And I'm like, what the fuck? How come you didn't mention that to me? Yeah, and she goes, this is a quote. I just thought it was part of you. And I'm like, have you ever seen a human being with a big lump in the middle of their spine before? Like at the beach or where, locker room, on your own back. And
she's like, I thought everybody had goiters.
Yeah, who doesn't have a giant lump on the middle of their back? And she,
Look at mine.
I was like, you have an advanced degree. What are you, a tard? And like
weird.
And so anyway, it turned out to be a giant lipoma, which is
thankfully it was nothing.
A benign fatty tumor that they were able to remove. Inpatient. It was actually cool. They cut it out while I was awake. I got to watch the surgery on closed circuit, and the nurse was Uzbek. So I had a long conversation with her about her hometown of Bukhara, and that was interesting. But yeah.
But so I'm more in line with this study. Like, this is the life I have. Like I'll tell my husband, like, what's this? Like, what is this? What is this? And that's what basically this study is saying, is like, when you have a spouse, your spouse tends to notice things and tell you, like, honey, you have like this thing forming. And also when you're married, the lifestyle choices, this is what the article explains, is that it's important for some cancers linked to infections, smoking, alcohol use, reproductive health, where prevention and early detection obviously make a big difference. So if you are, out sleeping around, you're very likely to get cervical cancers, ladies, because men deposit, even if they don't have STDs, it's just they deposit their genetic materials. And I don't mean, just a climax. I just mean the sheer fact that their bacteria collides with yours and can cause cervical cancers. So that happens more among single people and those who stay single. So the effect also appeared to become more pronounced with age, especially after 50. Well, yeah, suggesting that the long-term benefits of stability and support may accumulate over time. The takeaway here isn't that marriage is medical treatments in and of itself. It's that human connection, routine, and support systems have a bigger impact on long-term health than we give it credit for. And in this case, researchers say that may actually include something as simple and as powerful as having another person in your life who keeps you on track. So,
or a cat. Like if you had a fine cat who was able to, or what about those dogs that check you for
cancer sniffing dogs?
Yeah.
Those.
I love those.
Those are specialty.
I'm on team dog. I'm always team cat, except in this respect.
Where do you can't, as a regular person, just go get like a cancer sniffing dog?
Well, there's a lot of evidence, Manila, that cats and dogs know when you're really sick. So I think probably any of them can be trained because they have that incredible sense of smell. So you could. I know dogs know
when their mamas are pregnant.
But do you have a dog?
No, not anymore. He went to go live with my stepbrother in California because he didn't adjust well to having a baby brother.
Is he living on a farm?
No,
where he gets to play with all the other dogs.
No, he lives in fucking wine country in Santa Rosa, California, in a big fucking house with a yard.
So you're saying he's a drunken dog? He's an alky dog.
He's a fat, happy English bulldog. But when I first became pregnant with my son, he knew before me. He would come.
How do you know?
He would come. He behaved differently. He would come. He would look at me differently, and then he would become like a lapdog.
Would he look at your belly and be like, "You gonna eat that or what?"
He would like tilt his head, and he'd like burrow his face into my belly.
And he never did that before.
No, he used to just like plop on my lap.
And you didn't have a bump by that point.
No, I was like, I didn't know I was even pregnant.
That's so cool.
So
that's cool. I believe that 100,000,000%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I read about that after when I realized I was pregnant, and I read about like dogs being able to sniff hormonal differences in their owners. Like, so if you, especially as a woman, so when you have a hormonal change, your dog can smell it. So he knew there was something, and he figured it was in my belly, and it was a human brother.
And it was.
Well, and to be fair to Harley, my beloved English bully, he was really great to my son, but he took it out on me and my husband, like in like the shittiest ways. After my son was born, he would like poop at the bottom of the stairs, even though he would like fake going out to poop before bedtime, and he would come because he used to sleep in the bedroom with us. And so after the baby came or whatever, we closed the door, so he wasn't allowed anymore. And then we put up baby gates at one point, so he would poop at the bottom of the stairs. He was like passive aggressive.
Hey, we have a question. We have a question
intolerable.
Here. This is more, I think, for you. Maybe Blue Funk. You guys, with your military exposure and familiarity, I don't have as much military exposure and familiarity. Do you think this Hegseth verbiage will work? All the firings seem to show that there's some friction internally.
Oh, work how though? Like, I think Hegseth is trying to fire all his detractors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the naysayers.
I have to think that he's not widely liked inside the Pentagon because he's such a showboater.
That he's liked or disliked?
I can't imagine that he's liked.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's not in line, and I have deep connections to the Pentagon, and I know what the ethos is there among both military and civilian
ultimately,
workers.
This is a huge management job, and you have to have incredible management skills. And there's no evidence that he has that.
The work culture there is, I would say, there are some that are going to be like bros like him. Yes, there are. But the vast majority of them, he is antithetical to the work culture. I mean, there's 25,000 people at the Pentagon at any given day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the world's biggest office space, from what I understand. 25,000 people in and out that work there. This is not including like the people that go on tours or go for meetings. We're talking about badged workers that can go in and out, like 25,000 people.
Well, the old World Trade Center was 58. Had 58,000 office workers. Yeah, of course, spread across 2 buildings. But
okay. So the Pentagon, I guess now is the biggest one.
Although I don't know, there's the new World Trade Center. I don't know.
Well, I don't know
the Freedom Tower.
But so I don't know if that helps in an answer. Maybe Blue Funke, is that I don't believe he thinks his swagger is all that, but I think secretly behind closed doors, he's getting a lot of pushback, and that's why these early retirements and firings are happening, is because they are presenting these horrible things like facts to Hegseth, Ted, and Petey don't like facts. Like, this is an unwinnable war in Iran. Like, brother, thank you for your service. You can go ahead and take an early retirement. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So, all right. Then we got one more. There's
Uno
not a big story. It's not a big story, but it's a fun story, and it keeps us on time. But this brings up a greater point. So Ted, I'm going to jaws it, and then you take it away.
A 14-year-old high school freshman in Vermont will be the first ever under 18 child candidate for governor to be on the state's general election ballot. Dean Roy got his spot by creating his own political party, the Freedom and Unity Party. So even though he's only 14, he already knows how to choose a bullshit pablum name. The state constitution sets no minimum age for gubernatorial candidates, requiring only that candidates have resided in the state for 4 years, according to the Associated Press. I don't expect necessarily to win, Roy said. What I do expect is to start the movement, and get more young people to come in behind me and say, yeah, we also want to make change. Dude, old people would vote for young people too. So don't count us out.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, a 14-year-old running for governor, but honestly, look at the people in charge right now. True. The self-described centrist said in a post on his campaign's Instagram page, they've been doing this forever, and things still aren't working. Manila, I just want to say parenthetically, I'm going to kind of have to call bullshit on this kid, Dean Roy, because he said his Instagram page. There's no such thing as a guy who does Instagram. It's a girly platform.
No, are you kidding, Ted? He's 14, so he's
Gen Alpha, right?
I think Gen Alpha, he's the very last. He might be the very last of Z. He's at the cusp.
You think he might be Z?
He might be the last of, like, I think 14
the last
or
of the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, he's basically a first alpha.
Right. Uh-huh.
But those youngins, they all do the Instagram.
All right. Well, so
setting that
aside,
a norm.
All right,
it's all norm aside. For them.
I withdraw that dumb remark. Yeah,
but I will say he's okay. 14's a bit young
to be governor of the state.
To be
now,
governor.
Granted, it's a very small state.
I mean, how small?
Vermont, I think only has 500,000 people.
What?
Yeah, it's very, very, very small. And I mean, Burlington, I think, is the biggest city, if memory serves. And it's also, I think and Burlington is, it's a little.
Bernie Sanders only is the senator for 500,000 people?
I think so, yeah.
Really? Oh, yeah. I always assumed there's.
Yeah, Vermont's tiny, man. I mean, not only is it like not a big state geographically, but it's also a small state. It's sparsely populated.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Well. Okay. So 14 is a wee bit young, but on the other hand, Ted, is it worse to have somebody that's, if you're a governor or whatever, if you're a politician and you're old and senile, like we say Donald Trump is now and Joe Biden was 2 years ago?
Clearly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have an age maximum, and apparently Vermont doesn't have an age minimum.
Hilariously.
Which is odd.
Well, look, I have a personal story here, Manila. I was a delegate to the 1980 Democratic Convention. Now, granted, that's not governor of a state, even a small state, but I was 17, which means I could vote in the convention hall because there was no rule against it. But there was, I couldn't vote in the election.
In the general. Yeah.
Which is, we all thought it was kind of funny.
Well, how did you become a delegate as a teenager?
Well, so I was deeply involved in Democratic Party politics. As you know, politics is a young person's game. I mean, a lot of the volunteers are, like a lot of political leaders, top analysts are in their 20s. They're in Washington. I mean, all the corridors of power are lousy with 20-something staffers. And so I was sort of up and coming. I had successfully managed a campaign for state representative against great odds in a district that was 93% Republican. I got a liberal Democrat Jewish former New Yorker to be elected state rep, unseating an 8-term incumbent with deep connections in the state restaurateurs industry. So the point is, as a reward for my service, they hooked me up and they were like, hey, do you want to be a delegate? Because all the delegates jobs like that, they're basically sinecures given by the party. And so, it's not like you're really elected or anything. So they were just like, hey, you want to be you want to go to New York and be a delegate? So I was a Ted Kennedy delegate. Yeah.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, when you're a little older in high school, like maybe a senior in high school, or more specifically, I would say college age, like at least a voting age, I think is when you're more capable of taking positions on things. I think when you're 14, that's a little too young.
I had strong opinions about things when I was 14. I mean, 14, I was 1977.
Yeah, mostly ruled by hormones.
Well, that's
rather than
true.
logic.
I was on the strong Ted wants sex ruling thing. No, but in all seriousness, Jimmy Carter had just been elected president. I was already pretty knowledgeable. I don't think I could have been the governor of a state, which is a management job.
Right.
But I definitely had strong political opinions. Obviously, he does not, because he's a centrist.
He says he's a centrist.
I mean, literally, there is no gayer or stupider position than to be a centrist. Just don't bother. A centrist is someone without opinions. Just shut up. Don't vote. No one wants to hear from you. Don't run for office. You're gay. I think, look, here's the thing. I don't have any problem with this. And I have to say, if he wasn't a centrist, he would have a chance of getting some protest votes, depending on the state and how things were. I mean, I would totally vote for a 14-year-old candidate for governor in New York against Kathy Hochul, because I can't stand Kathy Hochul. I'm certainly not going to vote for a Republican because I hate them. But
she's terrible.
Oh, she's awful. She's evil. So I would totally do that just to send a message. And if he got elected, all the better. And how hilarious would that be?
Oh my God.
Governor Doogie Howser. Awesome.
Seriously, that's a sitcom waiting to happen.
Totally.
P.W. Walker, thank you for the donation. Pinhead Pete is how a Marine buddy of mine called him. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he seems like the most
he's an idiot.
Intellectual thought leader that the Pentagon has ever had.
Thought leader.
He's not exactly. I think he went to Yale, Ted. I think he used the GI Bill when he came out and got into Yale.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I mean, he must have some.
Yeah, but George Bush went to Yale.
Yeah, well, that's true.
What does that say?
Was he? Yeah, well, George Bush was a legacy.
Yeah, obviously. So I mean, so it doesn't say that much. Just look.
I mean, I went to school with lots of fucking idiots at Columbia.
I know legacy kids. Yeah, I know legacy kids. I'm like, you went to Harvard? Like,
oh yeah, and you're like, what? Yeah, no.
Huh? So you know.
No, I hear that.
When they try to bolster him as like, oh, he's an Ivy League guy, he went to Yale, like, okay, that's fine. So did W. Bush.
Yeah,
like, is he this nation's new Socrates or Plato? Probably not.
No, and maybe that's not what the American people want. Look, I think I also have a friend who his name is Steve, who was, I believe, and he may still hold this record. We went to high school together. Great guy. Unfortunately, a bit of a centrist, but a Democrat. And he was at the time, the youngest person ever elected to the United States Congress, barely a few days over the age of 25, which is the constitutional requirement. Really? And I remember the New York Post covered the story. I was living in New York at the time. And,
25?
and the headline was, "It's a mad, 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 mad world." And I sent it to him and he was so pissed. I think he only served one term.
Well,
probably because he's a centrist and didn't have, centrists don't really believe in anything.
So I don't know. Okay, Madison Cawthorn.
I would vote for a right-wing Republican over a centrist anytime.
Madison Cawthorn, he was 25 years old. He became the youngest member of Congress in 2020. He was born August 1st, 1995, so he was 25 years old at the time. He's the very young, good-looking paraplegic from North Carolina. He served the one term, but then he came out and like publicly was talking about like the wild sex parties and stuff that he was invited to that he wouldn't go to. And then suddenly it was like, everybody, all the Republicans turned against Madison Cawthorn. Coincidence? I don't know, but the kid's 30 years old now. August 1st, 1995. So yeah, well, he's from Asheville, North Carolina. Yep. David Madison Cawthorn is his name. So yeah, I remember he was a short one-termer. He was like a Christian conservative. They did not like him. I don't know if it's because he was young. And then there was that other guy. Oh gosh, I forget his name, Ted. He's somewhere from the Midwest. Young gay dude. He spent all kinds of money to remodel his congressional office to look like a scene from Downton Abbey.
That reminds me of, do you remember of...
But he was young too, like 26 maybe?
There was some Bush administration official who tricked out his Pentagon office to look like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise.
You've got to be...
I'm going to find this, like, yeah.
Okay, that'll be the last thing before we gotta go.
Yeah, let me see.
I gotta jump. But what is his name? I can't remember. A young, good-looking gay guy, Midwest, probably about 10 years ago. He spent like all of his campaign funding as and donations, his campaign donations, in making like his Capitol Hill office look like Downton Abbey. Oh God, what is his name? But he was apparently going to like those drug and sex fueled orgies.
Here it is. I knew I hadn't imagined it. So I lied. Actually, this was not under George W. Bush. But here we go. Foreign Policy magazine reveals that NSA Director Keith Alexander endeared himself to lawmakers and officials by when he was running the Army's Intelligence and Security Command. He brought his allies down to Fort Belvoir. Is it Belvoir? Belvoir?
Belvoir.
For a tour of his base of operations known as the Information Dominance Center. It had been designed by a Hollywood set designer to mimic the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, complete with chrome panels, computer stations, a huge TV monitor on the forward wall, and doors that made a whoosh sound when they slid open and closed. Lawmakers and other important officials took turns sitting in a leather captain's chair in the center of the room and watched as Alexander showed off his data tools on the big screen. Everybody wanted to sit in the chair at least once to pretend that he was Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, my fucking nerd.
Your tax dollars at work, Manila.
How young or old was this guy?
That's a good question. Let's see. This was Keith Alexander. Let's like Wikipedia him.
So I'm just curious because
this would have been 2013. Born in 1951.
He's a grown man.
Well, 64 years old he was at the time.
Oh my God.
And not to mention, just think of the waste of money. I mean, really.
Oh my
That alone.
God. Oh my God. Well, so then, back to the 14-year-old running for governor. Okay, so either you men never grow up Or
Well,
it
we
just
know the
doesn't
answer to
fucking it
that.
just doesn't fucking matter. 14 or
Would you vote for
64.
What if you voted for like a 14-year-old who was really, really smart? Like right now, we have the boy mayor, right? We have Memdani here.
Yeah. But he's not 14.
No,
He
but
hasn't gone through puberty. The kid's
he is
balls
very
haven't
young,
dropped.
and he's kind of goofy. He's like I
Yeah,
guess it
he's a
was
dorky
yesterday or the
kid.
day before. He walked home to Gracie Mansion from his office in City Hall, and he was hauling ass. There's video of him on social media. The dude walks faster than I do, and I walk really fast. And he was like, and this like poor woman was like huffing and puffing,
Power
trying to
walking.
keep up with him. And
It's
I'm
healthy
like,
for you.
no, it's true. It's very good for
Power
you.
walking.
Yeah, I mean, I like walking fast, but it was just sort of funny to me. Anyway, he was so goofy, but
Well, that's 30 is young, right? He's 30. Like,
yeah,
but that's still more than twice the age of this kid running for governor, which is I arguably being in an executive position such as governor or mayor is more difficult than being a congressperson.
No, I honestly would have really very little problem with a very young congressman, because basically all that's really required there is to have opinions. And I guess you do need to serve your constituents, right? But like you'd have to pick up the phone and be like,
you don't really have to do anything.
You don't have. Well,
Let's be honest.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a management job.
No. Governors, mayors, you have to actually do things. So
yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, and understand math a little bit. So
well, you could understand. I mean, look, I understood math when I was 14.
Yeah, but who knows about this kid? But let's see what that. I think it's a good example of how ridiculous American politics is. So well,
it's also. I mean, look, it's objectively kind of ridiculous that you can run for an office that you can't vote for.
I know, but yeah, I mean, you could be 14 and brew beer, but you can't buy it.
Well, that's also ridiculous.
Yeah, so it just highlights American ridiculosity of loopholes in our lives.
Ridiculiquity.
All right, we'll leave that there. You guys go figure it out. What's happening with our weird American political system that 14-year-olds can actually get on a whole statewide ballot. That's pretty amazing.
Well, that's an interesting question too. We didn't even bring that up, right? Like how many ballot signatures were required to get on the ballot in Vermont? I mean, again, it's a very sparsely populated state, but that indicates some sort of organizational ability on his part.
Yeah. So, like I said, whatever we think of a 14-year-old, he managed to get it. So
look, and it is true.
And I gotta go.
Old people be making a mess. So,
he ain't wrong. So thank you everybody for the donations today and tuning in.
Wait. Manila.
On Monday.
Manila, let's invite him onto the show.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Robbie, please reach out.
Please make note. Let's invite the 14-year-old on.
Yeah.
We can have Robbie's son interview him. Teen interviews.
We could. But I think that's kind of like we should treat him with proper respect and deference and not treat him I'm not kidding. I would not treat him any differently at all than any other candidate. I mean, in other words, he'll get a polite hearing and he'll be asked some challenging questions, but we're not going to give him a hard time.
All right. All right. If I'm down.
Why not?
All right. You can't be mean to him though, because that would be terrible.
I would never do that. No, I mean that's like
maybe.
I kind of think good for him.
For the donation.
I think good for him, man. He's doing shit. He's making a name for himself.
I think it's great. Thank you for the donation, maybe. And I love that we have more Arrested Development fans in here because I love that show. It was like way ahead of its time. Anyway, that's it, guys. We'll see you back here on Monday. Adios, amigos. Thank you for being here and all the donations. Bye.